Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'll be discussing the battery performance on the brand new LG G5. I've been posting several videos in the last couple of weeks on my channel guys, so please do check them out. I'm sure you will find them very useful. However, like I said, in this video I'll be specifically discussing the battery life both on 4G LTE, Wi-Fi. It will include also plenty of screen on times that I've been taking in the last couple of weeks. This will also include the always on display, which is a new feature, so battery drains on both it being on and off I've been taken as well. And also there was a request from last time in one of my battery videos where somebody asked me to please also put on the gaming performance battery stats as well. So how much battery does the phone drain when you're gaming? So at the end of the video I've also included that stat as well, so please do have a look and see if you are interested. Okay, so without wasting any more time guys, let's quickly get into this. The very first screenshot, it tells you about the stats of the phone. The phone obviously has a top end Qualcomm Snapdragon 820 along with 4 gigs of RAM, and the battery size is 28 mAh battery along with a 5.3 inch Quad HD 2560 into 1440 screen. Okay, as you can see here in the first screenshot guys, I had the always on display off, so half of my stats are with always on display off and the other half are with always display on. So for the first bit I will show you the stats without the always on display being on. Okay, so as you can see guys, on the very first screenshot I wanted to see how the battery drain is on the LG G5. With the LG G4 from last year, the battery drain was very good. LG had optimized their handset really well, and that's why I had high expectations from LG G5 as well. So at 2:27 on April 22nd, I left the phone on at 23%, and when I actually got up in the morning the next day 11:13, the battery was still at 23%, as you can see on the top right corner. This is the kind of standby you'd expect from LG flagship phone. Even from last year on the LG G4, it had excellent battery drain stats, and same carries on with the LG G5, so I was very happy. Okay, then again I charged the phone fully and down to 5% after using it quite heavily on Wi-Fi primarily. That was the first thing I wanted to do because the battery on the G5 is controversial. A lot of people, including myself, were surprised when we saw the battery being smaller as compared to the LG G4 with only a 2800 mAh unit inside. We were all skeptical obviously, so I was afraid as well, and I thought this probably going to be worse than the LG G4. But I think as you go along in the video you'll see some stats are really surprising. Okay, as you can see on Wi-Fi, after using it for 16 hours and 16 minutes, I was able to achieve 5 hours and 26 minutes of screen on time, and the brightness was kept around all this time around 60 to 70%. So well done LG for giving us over 5 hours of SOT with Wi-Fi and a very powerful Quad HD 5.3 inch screen. So really amazing. Okay, now if the next screenshot, as you can see, down to 3%, and this is where I wanted to see the fast charging. Now this phone has the Qualcomm Quick Charge 3.0, which is the latest technology on charging from Qualcomm. So I wanted to see how quickly the phone charges. At 3%, I started charging it, fast charging at 12:57, as you can see. And at 13:54, which is just under 1 hour, it was all the way up to 91%, which was really amazing. So as you can see, in under an hour from 3%, it was able to achieve 91%. Now most people will not charge their phones all the way down to 3%. Most people will most likely charge their batteries around 15%, 10%, 20%. So keeping that in mind and this stat in mind, I think you should be able to charge your phone in under 1 hour if you leave your phone at around 20% and start charging it then. So Qualcomm Quick Charge 3.0 is really quick. Not only the battery is decent, but also the charging speeds are pretty decent as well. So battery seems to be okay so far. Okay, let's go further down, and then I started testing on 4G LTE, because most phones which produce good results on Wi-Fi, they normally tend to suffer with 4G LTE. So I wanted to see how much would the LG G5 suffer with only purely using 4G LTE all day. So I was using the phone pretty heavily, aggressively guys, for 4 hours and 14 minutes. As you can see, the last 3 hours of usage was 48%, which goes to show how aggressively I was using the phone. And that's why I took another screenshot showing you I was streaming music via SoundCloud pretty much all day. Google Plus, social media guys, I'm a YouTuber, I get notifications all the time. Google Plus, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and all that kind of stuff. And I was able to achieve 2 hours and 36 minutes of screen on time with battery down to 40%. So it hasn't gone all the way down, it's up to 40%, and I was able to get 2 hours and 36 minutes of screen on time. Okay, so further down, I kept on using the phone with the same kind of aggressive usage. As you can see in the graph, it's constantly going down, showing how aggressive aggressively I was using the phone. Also, you can see the last 3 hours of usage was 33%, and I was able to achieve at the end, after using it quite heavily, social media, Bluetooth streaming and everything, I was able to achieve 4 hours and 13 minutes of screen on time. This is a very, very good figure for a phone which only has a 2800 mAh battery, a very powerful 5.3 quad HD screen, and only using 4G LTE. Many phones that I know that I've used over the years, they can't even achieve this kind of figure with Wi-Fi, let alone 4G LTE. So well done LG once again. Optimizations or whatever is going on, somehow they're able to squeeze more battery out of this phone, even with a smaller unit, which is very, very amazing. Okay, further down, benchmarks, ignore this for now. Again, 80% I left it on standby, and let me remind you again, this is all without always on display on. It was in all these shots for now, it was always the always on display was actually switched off. So at 80% I left it again, guys, and at 1:23 in the morning on 23rd of April, and once again I got up at 11:13 in the morning on Saturday morning, and it had gone down to 76%. So it lost basically from 80 to it lost 4% in about, I would say, about 9 to 10 hours, which is again very, very good. I mean, it is not as good as I shown you earlier on the earlier screenshot, but still very, very good. In about 9-10 hours you're only losing 4%. So the battery drain can be a bit topsy-turvy at times, but still, according to the standards in the industry, this is still very, very good and top-notch performance on standby. So Marshmallow and Doze is obviously kicking in. By the way, the phone is running 6.0.1 Marshmallow with 4 gigs of RAM and LG's latest skin. Okay, so again 5%, as you can see, guys, here the top right screen, I got the airplane mode out. At times, guys, where I work, there's no signal at all whatsoever, so I tend to choose the airplane mode on, because they will save battery. If you're in a weak signal area, or in an area where there's no signal, and if you don't turn your airplane mode on, guys, your battery will drain quicker, so it wouldn't be a fair test on the phone. That's why I left the phone on airplane mode on, and also using Wi-Fi and 4G LTE both mixed as well. Again, you can see the last 3 hours of usage is 27%, still very, very high. Like I said, guys, I'm a YouTuber. I get emails, YouTube notifications, Instagram notifications, Facebook, this, that, you name it. I use my phone very, very heavily, and my phones are always busy. So I'm a very, very aggressive and heavy user. That does not include gaming and streaming, but it does include very heavy use, and my brightness is always around 70%. Okay, and heavily using it, SoundCloud, Bluetooth streaming, Facebook, Instagram, the regular bits and stuff, and I was able to achieve 4 hours and 40 minutes of screen on time, and this was where I was using 4G LTE as well at times, and also using Wi-Fi. With the mixed use, you can get between 4.5 to 5 hours of screen on time, and with Wi-Fi, you should be able to get over 5 hours of screen on time. Okay, once again down to 45%, using it pretty heavily. As you can see, again 41% in the last 3 hours with Wi-Fi, 4G, bit of mix, everything, and I was able to achieve again 3 hours and 37 minutes of screen on time with battery down to 45%. I kept on using it further, guys, and after 17 hours and 59 minutes, that is well exceeding the normal working day. For a normal working day, an average person would last at work for about 8-10 hours, maybe in extreme cases 12 hours. So it's well beyond that, and the phone is fully capable of lasting you a full working day with 4G LTE or with Wi-Fi. Normal regular stuff, guys, social media, lots of YouTubing, Google Plus, social apps, media, and all that kind of stuff, and I was able to achieve 5 hours and 16 minutes of screen on time. At times I was using 4G as well, guys, but it was mostly on Wi-Fi. So if you see any screen on time which is beyond 5 hours, that probably would mean I've been using more Wi-Fi and less 4G LTE. But if a slight dip in the SOT around 5 or maybe less than 5, that means I've been using 4G LTE or I've been gaming or streaming. Okay, again down to 8%, guys, after 18 hours and 3 minutes of screen on time, and again you can see the last 3 hours of usage is around 32%, which goes to show that I've been using the phone pretty heavily again, and my regular stuff, and I was able to achieve 4 hours and 31 minutes of screen on time. This was where a lot of times I also had 4G LTE on as well. Okay, further down again, guys, down to 5%, 4G LTE, Wi-Fi mixed use again. Now here, as you can see carefully, I had only 3 hours and 39 minutes of screen on time, and the reason for that is, guys, because my phone was idle for a lot of time. I was at work, at times I was busy, and at times I was forgetting to switch the switch the phone on airplane mode, and hence the battery was lost more. Even if I was in the underground, I wanted to see actually, without me turning the airplane mode on and going underground in the tube or at work where there's no signal, how how would the battery perform. So the battery will drain more if you do not turn your airplane mode on, and that's why you see my screen on time is actually less than what I've been showing you in the previous screenshots. Again guys, here at 100%, and I wanted to actually see, I think it was again the battery drain. Yeah, I want to see, I tested it once more to see, still the always on display was actually switched off, not on. So I at 10:27 on April 29th, I left the battery at fully charged 100%, and then again after 8 hours and 32 minutes with Marshmallow and those working excellently, the battery only, I think, didn't lose nothing at all again. And this was the kind of performance I've shown you in one of the earlier screenshots where the battery wasn't lost even 1%. So well done once again, LG. Your battery standby drain is really good, so keep up the good work. After 18 hours and 53 minutes of screen on total usage time, sorry, and I was able to achieve in the end, I think, 5 hours and 25 minutes of screen on time, and this is obviously thanks to the standby drain, which was hardly any, and that's why it was able to help me boost my screen on time, and I was able to get 5 hours and 25 minutes of screen on time, again with Wi-Fi mostly. Now here, fast charging was tested once more guys at 5%. At 20:53 I put the phone on charging, and I wanted to see how quickly it would charge. And once again, as you can see, just after 1 hour, this was just before 9 o'clock, as you can see, about 7 to 9, and around 3 past 10 I was able to get it all the way up to 98%. So once again, well done. The Qualcomm Quick Charge 3.0 is very fast, and before you know it, your phone will fully charge in no time. Okay, now from here onwards guys, as you can see, that's why I took the screenshot here, the always on display was now switched on. So all my stats from now onwards are with the always on display switched on. Okay, so that's why the very first thing I did was at 00:43, just after past midnight on 30th of April, I took a screenshot, and the battery was around 85%, and this time around the always on display was switched on, and I wanted to see how much battery would it be draining. And eventually at 11:14 it drained about, I think, 9%. There we go. Yes, so at 00:43, just past midnight, and around 11:14 in the morning, it had lost about 9%. I would say it was approximately about 1% every hour. According to the LG's official press conference, they said that official statement that the phone should lose only 0.8% and not 1%. But keeping in mind those figures and the standby drain, I think it's pretty much the same what LG is claiming. Around 1% or 0.8% is pretty much the same anyway. So if you keep the always on display on guys, you're probably most likely going to lose 1% every 1 hour, pretty much the same as it was on the Galaxy S7 Edge. Again guys, 2:47 battery was fully charged obviously, and then I wanted to see again how, then I tested it once more 100% guys, and this was some very shocking stat here. I did the same thing the next night, like I said, 2:47 in the morning on May the 1st, 100% battery fully charged. I took it off the plug, and when I checked it again with the always on display on, at 10:45 it had only lost 1%, which was very shocking. How are they able to achieve this? I do not know. I know for sure that always on display was on, but still in all these hours it only lost 1% with always on display on, which was very shocking, and that's why I took the screenshot straight away to show you guys how good the results were. So sometimes at times with always on display on, you hardly lose anything at all on the screen, which is very amazing. So that's why I took the screenshot, and I wanted to share this with you guys. Okay, again 99%, and that's why when I took the graph, and I wanted to see how the phone was able to achieve only lose 1% with always on display on, and almost 8 hours on the battery, and hardly had lost anything at all. So well done LG once again, not too bad. Okay, then I kept on using it again guys. At 26 hours, this was over a day. I was slightly more moderate with the phone. The always on display was on for more frequently, so obviously the battery drain was slightly more, and that's why you might even see a slight bit of difference in the screen on time. Like I said, 4 hours and 3 minutes of screen on time, slightly different from what you see on a normal SOT with the always on display switched off. So with always on display on, you're bound to obviously lose a bit of battery, and that will affect the overall screen on time. Again, 5% 4G LTE mix Wi-Fi, 17 hours and 26 minutes with moderate usage, not as heavy, and I was able to achieve again 2 hours and 57 minutes of screen on time. Now here once again you can see the stat is very low, and for the reason for that is guys, like I said, a lot of times I actually forgot to put the phone on airplane mode when I was at work or somewhere where there was no signal. So you're going to be doing that, and you also have the always on display switched on, you're bound to lose more battery. In ideal conditions where you have the full signal strength, you definitely won't be getting this kind of screen on time. Okay, again 22 hours down to 4%. Wi-Fi, typical usage, lots of YouTubing, as you can see here, 13% of YouTubing, lots of video watching on there as well, and heavily using it, music, streaming, everything else, guys. And I was able to achieve, after 6 hours and 47 minutes of total usage, I was able to achieve 4 hours and 23 minutes of screen on time. This was mostly 4G LTE, and every now and then a bit of Wi-Fi as well, but still, again, very decent figures for what it is so far. Again, this was battery fully charged 100%, guys, and I tested it again to see with always on display how much battery drain would occur. So at 2:45 I took it off the charger at 100%, as you can see, on May the 7th, and at 13:47 it had lost 4%. So this figure is again varying. At times it will just lose 1%, sometimes it will lose 1% every hour, and then at times it will only lose just a couple of percent for a few hours. So again, what it goes to show on average is that standby drain, whether the always on display is switched on or off, is very, very good, and this is definitely better than the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. Okay, again down to 5% Wi-Fi, guys, almost 24 hours of usage, slightly a bit moderate, as you can see. It says last 3 hours of 22%, so slightly bit more moderate usage, with phone lasting me over full day, 24 hours, and I was able to achieve a total screen on time of 5 hours and 10 minutes. So if you take a bit easy on the phone, guys, you can go well above, like I said, a day. And because I'm a heavy user, like I said, I'm a YouTuber, my notifications come all the time, my phone is pretty heavy in use, so I cannot have 2 days on any kind of phone. But if you're a bit more moderate, making phone calls, occasionally checking your emails and notifications here and there, this phone can most likely will last you over a day as well. But if you're aggressive like me, most likely it will last you only for a day. Again, 5 hours and 10 minutes, and this is mostly on Wi-Fi as well, with always on display switched on. Now right at the end, guys, like I said in the start of the video, I was also requested a gaming performance battery stat. So here, in fact, just a little while ago I was gaming. I could not drain the battery fully though, only just about 10% because of time limitation, guys. I do apologize about that, but at least it will give you an idea. So I was playing Sniper Fury and Subway Surfer, and also Champions, and after playing all these games for about 40 minutes, the battery went down to 90%. So this is again a very, very good figure. I've seen flagship phones with powerful specs draining down at a much quicker rate, but here it's very good to see that the LG G4, after 40 minutes of aggressive gaming with screen brightness up all the way up to full and speaker at full volume as well, I only lost 10% in 40 minutes. So this phone should give you maybe over 3 hours of screen on time with gaming, but obviously as you game more, the phone heats up more and the battery goes much more quicker. But at least it gives you an idea that the battery drain on gaming on the LG G5 is actually not too bad. It's a very decent figure. Again, same thing again, guys, and this goes to show, like I said, I was playing Champions, and I was also playing Subway Surfer and a couple of the games, and I was, after 41 minutes, the battery went down to 90%. So gaming wise, the battery stands very well, not too bad. I've seen worse. This is definitely above average. So guys, this was the detailed verdict of my battery performance on the LG G5. I'm actually pretty satisfied with the battery. I never expected that I would get so much screen on time from a 2800 mAh battery, and LG have proven me wrong. And I just wish that they had put in 3000. If they had put in 3000 mAh battery, this phone would have been competing with the Galaxy S7 Edge, if not the S7, in terms of screen on time and battery power. But nevertheless, like I said, this is plenty of screen on time on both 4G LTE and Wi-Fi, and for a full working day, the battery should last you without any issues whatsoever. Before I finish this video, guys, let me quickly show you the version of Android this phone is running. So all the way settings, about phone, and software info, there we go. So it's running 6.0.1 Marshmallow, and this is the security patch level. I'm hoping for the May patch level at some point. As soon as I get it, guys, I will definitely let you know. But this is the latest version of Android. Marshmallow is running, and LG have done a very good job in optimizing the phone to make sure the phone runs smoothly and also gives you a very good battery life. So guys, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up like always. Any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comment section, and please subscribe to my channel, guys, as it helps, and I shall see you in the next video.